contender is Gremlin Gilmore, a newcomer to the game. This final shot could make or break his entire career.
Check this out. So I said to him, raise your standards, soy boy. Whoa! Oh! Forced diversity?
And just like that, Gremlin Gilmore has secured his position in the finals.
I'll take that as a hole-in-one.
4! Hello, welcome to another Regal Mystery Movie Review. I'm Gremlin Lord. Today's movie played on April 8th, 2024, and the movie was The Long Game. In 1955, 5 young Mexican-American caddies create their own golf course in the middle of the South Texas landscape. They are discovered by a local superintendent and form a high school golf team. Facing discrimination and prejudice at every turn, the team's love for the game keeps them going. Rated PG. While I don't normally look forward to sports movies, The Long Game wasn't that bad. The ever-handsome Jay Hernandez plays J.B. Pena, a World War II veteran and new superintendent for a local high school. He dreams of joining the Del Rio Golf Club, but he is rejected because of his ethnicity. Julian Works plays Joe Trevino, the de facto leader of the group of boys, and eventually the golf team. While he enjoys golf, he hides it from his father because he's not supportive. We also get to see his relationship with Daniela Torres, played by Paulina Chavez. Dennis Quaid plays former golf pro Frank Mitchell. He also fought in World War II with J.B. Pena, and they are good friends. He provides guidance to J.B. and the team while they traverse the very white world of golf. He also uses his name and his influence to help get them to places where they normally wouldn't be accepted. And of course I gotta mention Cheech Marin, who plays Polo, an elderly custodian at the Del Rio Golf Club. He's kind of the emotional conscience of the movie, helping JB and the team with his stories and generosity. The story begins with a group of young men working as caddies at the local golf course. While the pay isn't great, the tips can make it worthwhile. And there's not really a lot available to young Mexican-American men. Unfortunately, some of the patrons are less than excited to have a Mexican caddy, and they tip accordingly. This is the first look at how racism and prejudice is going to play a part in the movie. The boys enjoy playing golf and even created their own small course in the rough terrain of South Texas. A chance encounter with the new superintendent JB leads to the formation of the high school's first golf team. Now, this movie is very much the traditional underdog sports story. The team is underestimated due to prejudice, and they face struggles along the way. Both the coach and the students have their internal battles, but they learn to overcome them together. And in the end, success brings all the warm and fuzzy feelings that you would expect from this type of movie. But for me, someone who's not really interested in sports, especially golf, I still found the movie to be quite engaging. The team is full of likable, maybe somewhat forgettable personalities. Joe, the leader of the group, is given the most screen time. We get to see his personal struggles with dating, family, and finding himself. It's all the standard type of fanfare that you would expect from this type of movie, but it's the actors that really kind of pull it together. Personally, I wouldn't have minded seeing more background information on the other boys as well. The focus on Joe only kind of makes you forget about the other characters on the team until they pop up at a tournament. An obvious theme of the movie is the struggle of Mexican Americans as they traverse the changing American society landscape. There's resistance at every turn. What I find most interesting is how the different generations deal with this resistance. The older generation, like Polo the custodian, kind of just rolls with the punches. He doesn't really see a reason to go against the grain. He accepts his position in society for the most part, but does want to see change happen. The middle generation, like JB, sees success in the form of acclimating to society's norms. He wants the boys to Caucasianify themselves into white society. And yes, that's my new copyright, to Caucasianify. Be proper, be respectful, follow the rules, and don't stand out. He still wants change, but he thinks that acclimation is the only way forward. The younger generation wants to be more free. They want to have more fun. They see the stagnant and stuffy white golf course as cumbersome. They want to be the change that shifts people's views on Mexican Americans. There was a brief scene where the boys travel to Mexico. They immediately feel at home, and they love it. However, once they enter a saloon, they are immediately made fun of for being American. Their Spanish speaking and appearances are picked apart by some of the locals. This experience really amplifies the way the team feels about not belonging in any world, whether it's America or Mexico. But it does help motivate them further to carve out a path of their own. We also see some themes of women being treated poorly. It is the 1950s after all. JB's wife is strong and confident. She even wore pants on the golf course. Shock! I really like how Jana Lee Ortiz portrayed her. Sometimes she would butt heads with her husband JB because he wants to conform more to society than she does. I do wish they gave her more backstory though. She and JB discuss having kids multiple times throughout the movie, but it was never clear to the audience as to why they don't have kids. It seemed like a pretty big deal to them. Lucy even mentions how she avoids driving past the park so she doesn't see happy mothers and their kids. It really felt like an incomplete storyline. I think just a few more pieces of dialogue would have really fleshed that part of the story out and we would have a better understanding of who these characters are. Visually, the movie felt very 50s to me, though I didn't live through that time. It was vibrant and full of life. There was a really cool opening scene that shows JB golfing, but he begins to start hearing the sounds of gunfire and war. The golf club in his hands transforms into a rifle and is teleported to a battlefield. It was a very interesting way to show how World War II, and possibly his PTSD, is still affecting his day-to-day life. Though that was the only real glimpse we got to see. This movie had a rather dynamic filming style where most shots were not stationary. Almost all the shots were moving in some way or another, even if the characters weren't. It was very interesting, but I don't think it worked in all circumstances. Sometimes a character would be doing something mundane, like walking down the hallway, but the camera would be zooming around them as if something crazy was going on. And like many movies I have reviewed here before, I think that type of movement is just too modern for these type of period pieces. This was especially true for some of the golf montages. It felt like the camera person was doing a gymnastics routine with the camera. It was just all over the place. That being said, there were some very creative shots. For example, there were scenes from the tournament to show each boy swinging their clubs. These were shown in quick succession of each other, with the camera doing the same movements, resetting after each boy's swing. This shows us how each boy was trying to adapt their unique play styles to conform to the golf club rules. Another scene that comes to mind is when JB's talking to the golf club manager about his prospective membership. The camera starts mostly steady in the beginning of the scene. But as the scene progressed and it became more and more evident that racism was going to play a part in JB's application being denied, the camera got less and less steady and started to shake more and more. And what I found most interesting about this is how shaky the camera was when it was on JB and not as much on the golf manager. You could see JB losing his composure, trying to deal with the prejudice that he knows he's experiencing. And you can see the camera start to shake more and more as JB starts to get more and more frustrated. And it even starts shaking on the bank manager as well because you could tell that he's getting nervous. I feel like this subtle camera trick really kind of puts you into the scene to help you feel the same emotions that JB is feeling. And the last bit of visual flair that I enjoyed is when the camera would change over to like a retro camcorder look with the film grain and the sepia tones. This occurred during sweet family type of moments like a birthday party or a celebration. The extra film grain and lighting really helped it feel more 50s, and I think it really helped the audience remember that these are real people that we are watching. I found The Long Game to be a mostly enjoyable experience overall. While the story is very familiar and predictable, it is very well acted and shot, which kind of gives it a bit of a fresh take. And that is why I'm giving The Long Game a 6.5 strokes out of a 10 par. I think sports and golf fans probably get more out of the movie than I did, but I'm still satisfied with it being the Regal Mystery Monday movie. So, did you make your tea time and see The Long Game? If so, use your little pencil and tell me all your caddy secrets in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so I can continue to bring you great, honest content like this from the 18th hole. For minorities!